Yes, the installation of both a 5-inch rigid galvanized steel conduit or RGSC riser for primary overhead to underground and a 3-inch or 5-inch RGSC riser for secondary overhead to underground on the same utility pole is permissible under certain conditions. The key is adherence to safety standards and proper installation practices. The most important of these practices are firstly physical separation. The primary and secondary risers must be installed on separate sides of the utility pole. This means they should be on directly opposing faces of the pole, or as close to opposing as the pole structure allows. Secondly, minimum spacing. A minimum separation of 12 inches between the risers is required. This distance helps to prevent any potential arcing or interference between the primary and secondary systems. This spacing requirement addresses several concerns. One concern is electrical safety. Maintaining adequate distance between the primary and secondary risers reduces the risk of accidental contact or arcing between the systems. Primary voltage is significantly higher than secondary voltage, so a fault could be catastrophic without proper separation. Another concern is induced voltage. The electromagnetic fields generated by the primary conductors can induce voltages in the secondary conductors if they are too close. This induced voltage can cause problems with the secondary system's operation and could even damage equipment. Another consideration is accessibility and maintenance. Sufficient spacing allows utility workers to safely access and maintain each riser independently. Without adequate separation, performing maintenance on one riser could create a hazard for workers and equipment on the other riser. Now, regarding the conduit itself, rigid galvanized steel conduit, or RGSC, is often used for underground and overhead electrical raceways. It provides excellent physical protection for conductors and is resistant to corrosion. The use of RGSC also facilitates grounding and bonding, which are critical for electrical safety. When installing RGSC risers, several steps must be followed. One step is proper grounding and bonding. Both the primary and secondary risers must be properly grounded and bonded to ensure a safe path for fault current. This typically involves connecting the conduit to a grounding electrode system using a grounding conductor of the appropriate size. Another step is secure mounting. The risers must be securely mounted to the utility pole to prevent movement or damage. This usually involves using clamps, brackets, or other hardware that is specifically designed for this purpose. All hardware must be corrosion resistant and able to withstand the expected environmental conditions. A further step to take is weatherproofing. The top of each riser must be properly weatherproofed to prevent water from entering the conduit. This can be accomplished by using weathertight fittings or by sealing the top of the conduit with a suitable sealant. Weatherproofing is essential to prevent corrosion and water damage to the conductors inside the conduit. Also, conductor selection is crucial. The conductors used in the risers must be sized appropriately for the anticipated load and must be rated for the voltage and temperature conditions. The conductor insulation must also be suitable for wet locations, as the inside of the conduit may be exposed to moisture. Consider also the applicable codes and standards. The installation of electrical risers must comply with all applicable codes and standards, including the National Electrical Code, or NEC, and any local utility regulations. The NEC provides detailed requirements for grounding, bonding, conductor sizing, and other aspects of electrical installations. Local utility regulations may impose additional requirements or restrictions. And remember to consult with the local utility. Before installing any electrical equipment on a utility pole, it is important to consult with the local utility. The utility may have specific requirements or restrictions regarding the placement and installation of equipment on its poles. They can also provide guidance on grounding and bonding practices. Other points to consider are firstly, clearance requirements. Ensure that the risers meet all applicable clearance requirements from other objects, such as buildings, trees, and other utility lines. The NEC specifies minimum clearance distances for overhead conductors and equipment. Secondly, mechanical protection. Provide adequate mechanical protection for the risers, especially in areas where they are exposed to physical damage. This may involve using guards, barriers, or other protective measures. Thirdly, labeling and identification. Clearly label and identify each riser to indicate its purpose and voltage level. This will help prevent confusion and ensure that workers can safely identify the correct equipment. Fourthly, inspection and testing. After installation, thoroughly inspect and test the risers to ensure that they are functioning properly and that all connections are tight and secure. This should include testing the grounding and bonding system to verify its effectiveness. In addition to these technical considerations, there are also some practical considerations to keep in mind. One consideration is the pole's structural integrity. Before installing any equipment on a utility pole, it is important to ensure that the pole is structurally sound and can support the additional weight. This may require a structural analysis of the pole. Another consideration is accessibility. Ensure that the risers are located in a place that is easily accessible for maintenance and repairs. Avoid placing them in areas where they could be blocked by trees, buildings, or other obstructions. Another factor to consider is the overall appearance of the installation. Try to make the installation as neat and unobtrusive as possible. This may involve using concealed wiring or painting the conduit to match the color of the pole. Another critical aspect is the selection of appropriate fittings and connectors. Use only fittings and connectors that are listed and labeled for the intended use. Ensure that they are compatible with the type and size of conduit being used. Also, the installation should adhere to NEC Section 300.3, which covers conductors of different systems. Conductors of different systems, such as primary and secondary, are permitted to occupy the same enclosure, cable, or raceway only where specifically permitted in the code. Ensure that the installation complies with these requirements to maintain safety and prevent interference between systems. Also, the working space around electrical equipment should conform to NEC Section 110.26. Adequate working space provides enough room for electricians to safely access and work on the risers. Consider the voltage levels of the primary and secondary systems when determining the required working space. Furthermore, the identification of the conductors should follow NEC Section 310.8. Clearly identify the conductors in each riser to distinguish between the primary and secondary systems. This helps prevent accidental contact with the wrong conductors during maintenance or repairs. Additionally, the overcurrent protection devices, like circuit breakers or fuses, should be properly sized and installed according to NEC Section 240. This will protect the conductors and equipment from overloads and short circuits, preventing potential hazards. The grounding electrode system should comply with NEC Section 250. The grounding electrode system ensures that the entire electrical system is properly grounded, providing a safe path for fault currents. Verify that the grounding electrode system is adequately sized and connected to the risers. Surge protection should be considered to protect against voltage surges caused by lightning strikes or other events. Install surge protective devices, or SPDs, on both the primary and secondary systems to divert excess voltage away from sensitive equipment. In addition to these detailed points, here are some general reminders. Firstly, always follow manufacturer's instructions. Install all equipment according to the manufacturer's instructions and recommendations. This will ensure that the equipment functions properly and safely. Secondly, use qualified personnel. Only qualified and licensed electricians should perform electrical installations. They have the knowledge and experience to perform the work safely and in compliance with code requirements. Thirdly, obtain necessary permits. Before starting any electrical work, obtain all necessary permits from the local authorities. This will ensure that the work is inspected and approved by qualified inspectors. Fourthly, document the installation. Keep a record of the installation, including the date, location, and details of the equipment used. This information will be helpful for future maintenance and repairs. Ultimately, remember safety is paramount. When working with electrical equipment, always follow safe work practices and use appropriate personal protective equipment. This includes wearing gloves, safety glasses, and other protective gear. By adhering to these guidelines and consulting with qualified professionals, the safe and effective installation of both primary and secondary risers on the same utility pole can be achieved. This will ensure reliable electrical service and minimize the risk of accidents.